They actually did it. Like, I genuinely cannot believe that just happened. I have been watching this show since the very beginning, like from day one, and I have never seen an ending like that. Like, that finale just completely changed everything. Like, the show we were watching at the start of season 4 is not the same show anymore. It's just not, and I think a lot of people are going to watch that finale and just sit there like, okay, what just happened, right? Because there's so much to unpack here, and I don't even know where to start, honestly. Like, every single storyline, every single character, like everything just kind of collided in the most insane way possible. And I was not ready for it. I really wasn't. Like, I thought I knew where things were going, kind of. But no. No. The show just did something completely different, and I think this is honestly one of those moments where you look back and you go, yeah, that's where everything changed. That's the moment. Right there, that finale. And look, I've broken down a lot of episodes of this show. I've gone through a lot of crazy moments, but this one specifically, I just feel like there's so much to talk about that I honestly don't even know if one video is going to be enough here. Like, we're going to have to really dig into this one because there's layers to what just happened, and I think a lot of people might have missed some of the stuff that was actually going on underneath the surface of all the big crazy moments. Because yeah, the big stuff was wild, obviously, like Fatima, like, oh man, I'll get to that, but there's also just like a lot of smaller things that I think are going to matter a whole lot going into season 5. And honestly, season 5 is going to be completely different from anything we've seen before based on what just happened in this finale. Like, the rules of this show have changed.
The whole dynamic has shifted.
And I just think we need to talk about all of it. So let's just get into it, because there is a lot here and I don't want to waste any time.
So the first thing I want to talk about here is Jade and Tabitha and the whole talisman situation, because I think this is actually more important than people might realize right now. So Jade kind of already knew, like going into the cave, he kind of already had this feeling that the talismans weren't really going to do anything down there. And I found that really interesting because, like, I was kind of expecting them to work, you know? Like, I figured, okay, if the talismans can block off a room, like if they can keep the creatures out of certain spaces, then logically they should do something in the caves too, right? But I guess it doesn't really work that way. Like, the caves are just a completely different thing, and the rules kind of don't apply the same way down there. And look, even if the talismans had worked, it kind of doesn't matter anymore because Sophia took them all. Like, she just took everything. So the whole talisman situation, it was already kind of heading toward this point where they weren't going to be a big factor going into season 5 anyway. Like, I kind of had a feeling that that was the direction things were going, and it looks like that's exactly where we ended up. And honestly, it makes sense from a story perspective because if the talismans just kept working and people kept relying on them, there's no real tension there, right? Like, the show needs to find a way to make things harder and more dangerous, and I think getting rid of the talismans completely is a really interesting way to do that. So now going into season 5, like, I can already picture it, right? Like, that first episode, everyone is going to realize the talismans are just gone. Like, they're going to wake up, or they're going to come back, and they're going to look around, and it's going to hit them all at once. The talismans are missing. And then I just think that first episode cliffhanger is going to be nighttime coming, and everyone scrambling and having absolutely nothing to protect themselves with. Like, no protection. None. And that's terrifying when you think about it, right? Because for so long the talismans were this lifeline. Like, that was the one thing standing between these people and the creatures at night, and now that's just gone. So I think episode 1 of season 5 is going to be absolutely brutal in that sense, and then episode 2 is probably going to show the full fallout of that. Like, what does survival even look like now without the talismans? And I think that's actually a really exciting place for the show to go, even though it's obviously really bad for all the characters. Now with Jade specifically, the fact that he was willing to just sacrifice himself, like, he straight up said it, right? Like, I'll stay, Tabitha, you go. And that hit different, honestly, because Jade has been through so much and he's come a long way, and to see him just be like, yeah, she has kids, like, she needs to make it out, not me. That was a genuinely really powerful moment. And Tabitha falling though, like the ladder situation, I thought for a second there that the ladder might actually hold, like maybe there was going to be some way for it to work out, but no, she fell and they were both just trapped down there. Like, I was wondering if the bones getting out somehow would have made a difference, like would that have changed anything? But it didn't, right? The bigger thing was pulling out that tree, because the second that tree came out, everything just went dark, like instantly. The whole world just flipped to nighttime, and then the creatures were just everywhere, like immediately. Just out and moving, and it was just this insane moment of like, okay, everything just got so much worse so fast. And Jade and Tabitha are just sitting there trapped in all of it, which I was genuinely worried that was going to be where the season ended, you know? I thought for a second maybe this is the cliffhanger. Are they ever getting out? But I kind of knew they probably were going to make it because the show isn't going to just leave them down there forever, right? That's not really how this works. So, yeah, there was tension, but I kind of had a feeling they were going to be okay eventually, and we'll talk about how that actually played out a little later, but I just think the talisman stuff and what it means for Season 5 is genuinely one of the biggest things to come out of this finale, and I don't think people are fully appreciating how much that changes things yet. And then we get to honestly one of the most heartbreaking things this show has done in a really long time, and that is Marielle dying. Man. So what happened was they tried to put the talisman on the door, but the door had already opened before they could actually get it on there properly. And I think if things had gone just slightly differently, if the timing had been even a little bit better, maybe it works, right? Maybe the talisman stops whatever was coming through. But because of the earthquake and all the chaos happening at the exact same time, everything just fell apart in the worst possible way. The timing was just off, and that was it. And so they were trapped, and then everything that followed from that just kind of snowballed into this awful chain of events. But the thing that really got me, the thing that I think made that scene so devastating, was Smiley. Because Smiley says mother, that one word. And just right after that, we see Marielle go, and I just, the way that played out, it was just brutal. It was really, really brutal. And then Fatima just screams at Smiley, and it's not like a normal scream. It's the kind of scream where you immediately go, okay, something is different here, something has shifted. Because it wasn't fear, it was something else. It was almost like a response, she was communicating in that moment in a way that didn't feel fully human. And I think right there, right in that moment, that's actually when Fatima's transformation really started, even if we didn't fully understand what we were seeing yet. And I'll be honest, when I saw that scream, I immediately thought, okay, Fatima is becoming a creature. I thought it right then, but then I kind of tried to talk myself out of it, you know? I thought maybe there's another explanation. Maybe she's just connecting with them in some way. Maybe she can, communicate with them or influence them or control them or something. I kept trying to think of a way where it wasn't what it looked like. But deep down, I think I knew. And yeah, we'll talk more about the full transformation later, because that's obviously the biggest thing in this entire episode. But Christy showing up after Marielle's death, her reaction when she first gets there, that was just really hard to watch, honestly. At least she got to say goodbye, at least there was that, but I mean the wound was just too much. Even if you cover something like that up, even if you try to do everything right, she just lost too much blood, and it was just clear that it wasn't going to end well. And then when Boyd eventually walked in and Christy just broke down completely, she had been there for hours at that point, through the night and into the morning, just sitting there, just not leaving. And I just think moments like that are what make this show actually great, right? It's not just the creatures and the mystery, it's these human moments that just hit you when you're not expecting them. And Marielle's death is going to be felt for a long time, I think, not just by the characters, but by the audience. Because she was one of those characters that you just rooted for, and now she's gone, and everything around her is just different now. And then you also have to think about what this does to the community going into Season 5, because people are going to start asking questions. Marielle is gone, Elgin is gone, and people are going to want answers, and they're going to want someone to blame, and that's going to create a really tense situation for a lot of the main characters going forward. Okay, so now let's talk about Sophia, because I think this storyline in the finale was, and I don't want to say underwhelming because it wasn't really, but I just think I was expecting a bigger reveal here. I thought we were going to get something massive with Sophia, some kind of huge moment that just blew everything open. And instead, it was kind of okay, things are being set up for Season 5 rather than fully paying off right now. Which I get, I understand why they did it that way, because there was so much happening everywhere else in this episode that I think adding a massive Sophia revelation on top of all of it might have just been too much, right? It might have taken away from some of the other stuff that was really landing emotionally. So I think they made the smart choice to kind of keep Sophia a little more contained in this episode, and then let her be a bigger piece of Season 5. And honestly, Sophia being in Season 5 is a really interesting thing to think about because, what is her role going to be now? What does she actually want? Because in this episode, we see her trying to work with Elgin, trying to get him on board with whatever she's doing, and it just wasn't working. Elgin was just too scared. He was just completely terrified of everything around him, and there was just no way he was going to be a useful partner for her. And I think Sophia figured that out pretty quickly and then she just killed him. And look, honestly, I think a lot of people were okay with that. Like, I was kind of okay with it because Elgin as a character had just become so frustrating to watch. Like, when he first showed up in this show, he was actually a really interesting character. Like, the actor is incredible and those early scenes were genuinely compelling, but over time, he just kind of became this really pathetic presence, like just constantly making the worst possible decisions, and then going to Sophia with information he absolutely should not have shared. Like, that was just the final thing for me. Like, at that point, I was just done with him and his death. While it was pretty brutal, like, it wasn't a small thing, I just think most people watching felt like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, even if it's sad in some way, it also just kind of made sense for where that character had gone. But the really interesting thing with Sophia, the thing I think people need to pay attention to, is the scene with the boy in white. Because the boy in white tells Sophia that she's going to lose this time, and Sophia's reaction is just like, oh, I love your optimism. Like, she's almost amused by it. And I think what that exchange does is it finally confirms something that people have been wondering about for a long time, which is that the boy in white is actually on the other side from the man in yellow. Like, the boy in white is working against whatever the man in yellow is doing. He's actually trying to help Victor and the others, even if the way he does it is really confusing and indirect. And that's a massive piece of information, honestly, because it reframes a lot of the interactions we've seen with the boy in white throughout this entire series. Like, now you go back and look at those moments differently. But I will say it does raise a really confusing question for me, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the boy in white was also warning them not to pull out the bottle tree, right? Like, he said that doing that would cause all of this, and they did it anyway, and all of this chaos happened, but then he's also saying they're going to lose this time, which kind of implies that what they did was actually going to work out in some way. Like, I don't fully understand the logic there. Was pulling out the tree actually good? Was it bad? Like, if the boy in white is on their side and he was warning against it but also saying they're going to lose this time, like, I can't fully piece together what that means yet. And I don't know if that's a contradiction in the writing or if there's a really clever explanation coming in season 5, but right now it's just a little confusing to me, and I think a lot of people are probably feeling the same way. Like, the pieces are there, but they don't fully connect yet, and I'm sure we'll get more clarity later, but right now it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I need to think about this more. What I do know is that Victor's storyline going into season 5 feels really important because I think he's going to start uncovering more about Sophia and the man in yellow, and I think that's going to be a central part of where the season goes. Like, that reveal of the man in yellow to the broader group of survivors, that feels like it's coming, and it feels like it's going to be a huge moment when it finally happens. And now we have to talk about the ending. Like, we have to, because this is the thing that I think is just going to stay with people for a really long time. So Fatima becomes a creature. Like, she actually becomes one of the creatures. And I was not fully prepared for that, even though part of me saw it coming from that scream earlier. Like, I knew something was wrong,